Have at it.
Really?
Yeah.
Like we're rolling?
We're rolling,
Okay.
but
Hi, my name is Christian Scarpello. I serve as the Regional Boys Lacrosse Director in the North here for Centercourt Club and Sports. I run programs out of Morristown, Gillette, and Montclair. I also serve as the General Manager for Morristown and Gillette facilities, and I play for the PLL Waterdog.
Perfect. All right, Christian. Well, first and foremost, congrats on your PLL Championship. How does it feel to be a PLL champion and go all the way with your team?
Yeah, it feels amazing. Yeah, it's definitely a goal of the team at the onset of every season, as well as an individual goal, so it feels amazing.
That's great. Before we go more into the PLL and your experience as a player, I want to take it back to before the cameras were rolling and the games were televised. Where does your lacrosse journey begin, and how has it gotten you to where you are today?
Yep, I was born in Wilmington, Delaware. My dad was a lacrosse coach for the University of Delaware, amongst many other schools. So I would really say, you know, as soon as I could walk, I probably had a stick in my hands, and my dad definitely had a large influence on my love for lacrosse, traveling with his teams as a young kid, and kind of just falling in love with the game. I grew up in Madison, New Jersey, played high school ball at Madison, then went on to Rutgers University, so stayed in Jersey, and had a great 4 years at Rutgers. Following Rutgers, I played in the 2018 World Lacrosse Championships with Team England out in Netanya, Israel. So that was a super cool experience. I actually lived in Manchester for 2 months leading up to Netanya, Israel in 2018, training with Team England out there. So really cool experience. I pursued a master's degree at the University of Nottingham, where I was also able to play lacrosse as a student athlete. Did a 1-year accelerated program in educational leadership and management, and then returned back to the States here, and then eventually got picked up by the Waterdogs, and this is my 2nd year playing with them.
So it's easy to say that your lacrosse background is pretty extensive. If you were able to go back to talk to yourself in the past as that little boy in Delaware who had a stick in his hand watching his dad be a coach, and you told yourself that in the future you would become a PLL champion, what do you think you would have said?
I would have said, you're crazy, or damn straight, you're right. One of the two, but no, I mean, I think that if you had told me that a long time ago, I would have been smiling year to year like I was that Sunday in Philadelphia after the win.
Well, at that time there was no professional lacrosse, right? So see how far it's come in such a short amount of time, right? Is probably
super cool. Yeah, the Major League Lacrosse, the MLL, was the only existing league once the PLL came to fruition. I think you know, it made a lot of people enticed to follow and be more engaged in the sport.
Definitely. All right, so flash forward now, your PLL experience. How special is it to be part of an organization that entered the league as an expansion team, but now has made it all the way to the finals and won?
Yeah, I mean, super special. I think you know, the Waterdogs were definitely the underdogs for the first few years, being that expansion team that was comprised of a lot of unprotected players in the league. So I think everyone kind of had a chip on their shoulder, including the coaching staff, and myself included. So I think you know, to kind of complete this in year 3 of the Waterdogs is something really special for everyone involved.
How would you describe the Waterdogs team culture, and do you think it plays a part in your team's success this past season?
Absolutely. I think without doubt, the first thing that any guy on the team would tell you about is the culture. I think with many teams that's the case. You know, it's the key to success is having a good locker room and a good culture. And again, kind of going back to being the expansion team, I think a lot of guys put their egos aside, and we really just come together and have fun every weekend. Get to be, you know, just lacrosse players for 3 days before going back to the real world, and the culture of the team is great. Everyone's putting each other first as opposed to themselves, and again, that includes the coaching staff. So I think the culture absolutely contributed to the success of this year.
You've faced challenges throughout the season, both individually and as a team. How would you say you've personally overcome these challenges?
Personally, a lot of the challenges were injury based, and as any athlete knows, you just kind of put your head down and work through and try to rehab as best as possible and come back, stay positive. So yeah, I mean, I definitely had a couple ups and downs, a bit of a roller coaster of a year. So to be able to kind of put everything together at the right time heading into playoffs was special.
It worked out in the end, right?
Yeah.
All right, you seem to have taken on a larger role with the team this season. Can you talk about your role on the team and your contributions to the championship run?
Yeah, I mean, I think going into year one as a rookie, it's a huge learning curve. Personally, never having played professional lacrosse until my first year in the PLL last summer, there was a lot to learn. It's a very different game than the collegiate game and anything that I'm used to. Specifically with the PLL, there's a few rule changes and adjustments made to the game to make it more viewer friendly, if you will. So yeah, definitely a bit of a learning curve, but again, I think the guys in the locker room as well as the staff kind of helped me tackle those learning curves and bared with me as I got my footing, trusted me in coming into year two. And yeah, to your point, I think I kind of found my space on the field and in the locker room, and kind of settled in, was able to start having a little bit more success personally.
Yeah, that's awesome. How would you describe your playing philosophy, and what values have you held on to as an athlete that have helped you become a PLL champion?
I would describe my playing philosophy as just kind of a bit of a grinder, do the things that don't necessarily show up on the stat sheet that may get overlooked by a lot of people, but I see the importance in them. Having a dad as a coach is definitely a big contributor of that. He kind of pointed out, early on that, you don't need to be always the one putting the ball in the back of the net. There's super important parts to the game that are valued at a high level that don't always show up on the stat sheet. And I think, just kind of grinding it out, doing things that not everyone's willing to do, just having a hard work mentality is definitely a big part of my philosophy in playing.
I think that's great for kids who look up to you to hear, who might not be on the stat sheets as well.
Absolutely.
All right, so it's championship day, the day you've been waiting for, the day you've worked so hard for. What do you do to prep for probably the biggest game of your career, at least on the biggest stage? And how would you describe the locker room atmosphere?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's been asked by a few people recently. I think, the day of is obviously super exciting. There's a lot of anxiety, good anxiety, bad anxiety, just nerves in general. But again, I think leaning on the guys and the kind of relaxed atmosphere that we have in that locker room is something that really helped us. We kind of listen to alternative rock. We're a very relaxed locker room. We don't play the heavy EDM like some other teams will, and everyone's kind of just cracking jokes and being themselves. I think that helps keep everyone even keeled and keeping things in perspective. Obviously, it's a big game, but at the end of the day, we're all here for a reason. Super talented guys, and so we just try to take it, prepare the same as any other game. Obviously, it's a bit hard saying that, but yeah, I mean, the locker room atmosphere was on par with every other game weekend where, we're kind of just cracking jokes, hanging out.
The game starts a little rocky for the Waterdogs. You're trailing for the entire first quarter. What would you describe that huddle to be like before going into the second?
Yeah, I mean, I think we definitely got off to a bit of a slow start there, which, was one of our goals, was to try to be the team delivering the first punch, getting out early. Obviously didn't work out in our favor, but again, I think, the staff kind of helped us keep our heads and just, stay positive, stay the course, which is exactly what we did. I think, we may have made a few early mistakes that were uncharacteristic. So I think that everyone keeps that in perspective as well. That's obviously not going to be the case for the entire game. So kind of withstand those early mistakes and the early blows from the opposing team, the chaos, and stay the course. And that's kind of what the message was in the locker room.
It's not until halfway through the second quarter that the Waterdogs take the lead, actually off a play that you and Kieran McCardle run together. Then you lead 5-4 off of your two-man play. What are you thinking and feeling in that moment that you were involved in that play that put you guys ahead?
Yeah, I think it's a generous way to put it with regard to the two-man game. I did set a pick for Kieran there, and obviously he's an amazing player and kind of did really the hard part of that play. But it's super exciting to be on the field as a defensive midfielder in any goal that's scored. So obviously, I'm super fired up. I think the team was fired up, just, to your point, the importance of that goal. So yeah, for me it was super cool to be a part of, but I think, it was a lot of Kieran doing the hard work, and everyone was fired up.
For sure. I know I was fired up watching it. I was like, I know that guy. At what point in the game did you know that the Waterdogs were going for the title? Was there any point?
No, exactly. I would say there's really no point, especially in this league. I think, with the 2-point arc and the fast-paced transition, everyone on that field, is a threat to score at any point in time. And to be honest, really until I was chasing the loose ball, the last play of the game out of bounds, I kind of peeked back at the clock and saw there was only about a second left. And to be honest, that is the only time that I knew that we had, had won the championship.
With 1 second on the clock?
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, well, again, congratulations on your big win. You're now a PLL champion. That's a huge feat. But what's next for Christian Scarpello?
There's still a ton to do. I would say, obviously, from a team perspective, we did reach our goal of winning a championship. The goal, kind of what solidifies any team is great, is going to be a back-to-back championship, and hopefully a three-peat. But I think for myself personally, I have a long way to go as a player, and as we mentioned, kind of finding a larger role each year is a goal of mine on the team. So really it's just about attacking the off-season, making sure that I go into training camp next year better than I was last year.
Cool. That's a great answer. Can you share with us your feelings around the importance of giving back to the youth community and shaping the future of lacrosse?
Yeah, my life is definitely revolves around lacrosse. It's what I do day to day, and obviously still playing at 26 years old is pretty special to me. But I think coaching is something that I've always loved. As I mentioned, my dad's a coach, a lifetime coach, and I feel a lot of gratitude when I'm out on the field with the little guys and kind of just interacting with them and trying to pass down the knowledge that I've been fortunate to learn myself in the game to the youth players is super special. So obviously my position here at Centercourt has certainly allowed me to interact with pretty much all ages from kindergarten through 12th grade, and I love doing the work with the little guys, and I call them bobbleheads like you got here. But no, they're awesome, and then obviously I'm also over at Chatham High School with a lot of really talented older guys, and I'm just fortunate to be able to pass down the knowledge.
And I know it's pretty special for you coaching in an area pretty close to where you grew up. I know you go back to Madison a lot to give back to your roots there, which is also got to be pretty special for you as well. What message do you have for all the young kids who look up to you with PLL dreams?
Yeah, I think just going back to the jump of the question, Madison is my alma mater from a high school perspective, and last weekend I was stopped by there with my brother, who also played at Madison as well as Rutgers with me, and we were able to do some fastest shot competitions and just interact with really the entire youth program of Madison. So great relationship with Brian Dwyer, who spearheads the Madison youth. So that's always super special to be able to interact with the little guys. And I did speak at that event, and I think the message was to not worry about personal accolades or where you stand, as a high schooler. I think a lot of things change, and specifically for me, my story, not playing professional lacrosse, not really having the personal accolades, throughout high school and college, is nothing to be discouraged by. I think everyone has their own path, so you just stay the course, try to, continue to have fun while playing the game. I think that's the most important part.
Can you talk about some of the programs that you have coming up this winter here at Centercourt, along with how players can get involved and learn from you and your coaching staff?
Yeah, I think that the winter is a super exciting time. We run year-round programs. The winter is when we're busiest. We have a fall academy, a winter academy, which encompasses, again, grades K through 8. Again, we kind of have entry points here for any type of experience. So again, we have the K through 3 programs for 0 to no experience. And then we kind of move up the ranks there. Personally, I get super excited for the high school team trainings. We do those on the weekends here, and it's super special to kind of help these guys get ready for the spring and give them something to look forward to.
That's great. And finally, please talk about Centercourt Select, the club's philosophy, your coaching staff, eligible grades, any kind of insight you can give to that?
Yeah, so we, we're definitely an intermediate level club team. We have 3 club teams at the moment. Our philosophy is that we're a developmental club. We prioritize development. We try to keep things in perspective. By that I mean, we try to keep travel in state and, just really make it about the kids having a good experience, being able to use the amazing facilities that we own, and really just forge relationships between the youth guys without putting too much pressure on them. We try to prioritize the development of the young guys.
And where can they look for information on this and to sign up?
CentercourtAcademy.com is where you'll find all Centercourt offerings.
All right, Christian, thank you for your time. Congrats again on the big win. And
thank you so much, Melissa.
This was great insight for us.